Welcome everyone to another episode of Dynamics Corner. What does warehousing and device have anything to do with Business Central? I'm your co-host, Kris.
And this is Brad. This episode was recorded on January 20th, 2026. Kris. Mobile devices in the warehouse. I learned a lot about that and many other things today. With us, we had the opportunity to speak with Bob McAdam. Good afternoon, sir.
We're talking about embracing time. Embracing time. Bob's embracing time.
It's
right
not
now.
only
What's up,
embracing
boys?
time. It's the same old stuff, different cold front. We're embracing the cold,
Yeah,
Kris. We're not
it
embracing
sucks
the.
here. I moved to Florida to get away from it.
But it's cold there. So when you say cold, though, in Florida, what does that mean?
Okay,
Because
right.
cold from up north is very
When I woke
different.
up this morning, it was
cold
33
in the
degrees
south.
Fahrenheit.
Oh, that's pretty cold.
That is
pretty
very
chilly.
cold for down here. I think when I woke up, I was 40. Usually, you're about 10 degrees warmer than me.
Yeah.
So now that we're in cold, but 40 degrees is cold. And I hear all the time, "Oh, you're from up north. You should be used to the cold."
Right.
No.
Yeah.
I hate the cold.
Your body,
No,
your
it is
body
different
adapts,
because
right? So
75 here is cold to me. But if I go back up north, 45
summer.
degrees. It's almost like you adapt to where you are because I can. I don't want to say tolerate it. Maybe I understand a little bit more, but there's no reason for to be this far south and for it to be 40 degrees.
Yeah. Agreed.
You know, it's crazy though. For us, for 55 degrees here, it's short season. We wear shorts. By the time it hits 50s, we're gonna wear shorts. So it's for you guys, that's
55
cold, right?
is
55.
pretty
I mean, it's like,
tolerable.
man, you got a sweater.
I don't like to change my clothes. I want to be in shorts and flip-flops all the time, and weather like this kind of prevents that from happening.
Yes. It's sweatshirt
it's
weather
crazy.
and everything.
You gotta dust off that
Yeah.
heater to go on. That barely
you're
goes
not
on
kidding.
throughout the year.
You know, I grew up in Western New York, so I didn't move to Florida until I was in my late 20s. But man, your blood thins living here, and you adjust, and it would be tough to go back.
Yeah.
It would.
Well,
it would be
also, the older we get, our skin thins. And the cold does have a bigger effect. That's why a lot of older people come down. I like the warmth at this point. I
do.
appreciate it.
tough. Yep. Amen.
You mentioned you came from New York.
Yes.
How many people from Florida have you met that are born and raised here?
Not very many. Our kids are Floridians, but they're 26 and 22. But yeah, not very many. Most people are from someplace else.
That's what I've noticed. And I've been coming here since about, I
Interesting.
think I started coming to Florida for work and for other reasons in about 1998. Oh, not 1998,
Yeah,
maybe 2008, excuse me, 2008. 1998 is when I started this whole nonsense. I'm getting.
So there's
There
no
are some.
natives. There's no natives in Florida. So
No,
where
I
do they
think
live?
I
Where do
met-
they stay?
Probably at most 10 people in the time that I've been here that are from Florida. Everybody else is a transplant from somewhere else. I think a lot of people that are born here just leave.
In my office, our head of support in Tampa is a born and raised Floridian right here in Tampa. Yeah.
Oh, so there's one right there. I haven't
Interesting.
met them, so
Yeah.
I can't put them on the list. But it's something strange that most people that I meet are from someplace else. And oftentimes I always say they're always escaping something else or something.
It's very true.
It is
They're
true. It's the
escaping
place to
bad
come to
weather.
escape.
Bureaucracy. confiscatory taxation. Oh yeah.
Tax?
See, no, I don't want to get into that type of conversation because every time we do an episode, at least one person will reach out to me about something that I say. So it's almost comical. But you know that now within the United States, they're having the whole, and again, I don't want to go into the politics, but I think you can take this and extrapolate anywhere, where they're saying now we'll come to Florida because we don't have any rules, or we're free, or we do this. Please come. And I'm sitting here saying, no, don't come, because people do not want to be too crowded. It's already crowded enough.
Right. You're right. Oh, yeah.
Two, people will come, and it's not like they land in Florida and all of a sudden go, oh, I'm Floridian. I think like Floridian.
You're right.
If you follow what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
They come with their habits.
Yes.
And it's almost like if you want to come to Florida, you have to go through a class on how to be a Floridian.
A normal Floridian.
Yes.
And on top of that, the infrastructure can't support it. The highways are very crowded post-COVID. It takes longer. My folks live in Fort Myers. They live in Lee County. So it takes longer to get there now from Hillsborough than it used to. Like 20, 30 minutes. It's just, they haven't moved and I haven't moved.
And do you see all of the construction?
Wow.
I do not even know. I said this. I drove up to Tampa last week to go to the Southeast Regional event,
it was a good
which
show.
we were at. And we were telling everybody, oh, come to Florida in January because the weather would be nice. Well, it was another year of cold.
Yeah.
But as I was driving up 75 and even the back roads here to get to 75, the amount of construction they're doing, I don't know who they think is going to move here. I think you can take the entire world's population and put it in all this new construction. And that's the second thing I thought of after I thought that.
Yeah.
How are all these people going to move? Because there is already a traffic problem. Yeah. Even more so this time of year, because I know down here we have.
Dude, you've been trying to get me to move down there this whole time. I was like, I don't know,
come to
man.
move to Florida. Well, listen, there's certain parts of Florida that are really isolated. Don't get me wrong. We're just, if you're along the beach, Bob lives in the coastal area. I live in a coastal area. Forget it. Mm-hmm. If you're more inland where there's just nothing but heat and swamp, you can go miles and miles without seeing a person. You just have the payoff of being close to something or nothing. But I have no idea what's going to happen with all of these houses that they're building. And I really think if you had a plot of land big enough to hold a pole sturdy enough to build a house above all the other houses, I think they would do it. Mm-hmm. Like, I really think they would pack it in that tight that you would just have houses on stilts, like underneath each other, sideways and all over each other. Yeah. But
and you know, and I won't get into the politics on this either, but
we keep saying that, but we're getting there.
But that's right. But later this year, we're supposed to, in this state, have an initiative on the ballot that would remove property taxes from homesteaded properties. So if you own a piece of rental property, you still have to pay property taxes on it. But you wouldn't have to pay property taxes on the house you live in. The idea being, if you pay your mortgage off, the local government can't hold that over your head as reason to seize your property if you don't pay your property taxes. So if Florida is already crowded and that passes, which I'm in favor of, I'm a homesteaded homeowner, people will move here because because property taxes in some states are very high. And
that's the first thing that came to my mind, Bob.
There,
I said, I'm going to move there
because house and you pay for it, and then you own it, and that's how it should be.
You don't pay property taxes.
All right, we're gonna bleep that part so nobody moves to Florida.
It's very hot here in the summer, and it's crowded, so not everybody can just move here.
Oh, it's Hell's Kitchen during the summer.
It is. Oh yeah,
and it's Snowbird Haven during the
God's
the
waiting
winters.
room in the wintertime. Oh yeah,
yes. So it's. Oh, man. And Publix is the worst. I go at lunchtime because that's the best for traffic for me. Yeah. Because I could get to Publix in 12 minutes at lunch or an hour and a half in the morning at rush hour. Like it's insane. But then I go at lunchtime, and that's when all of the other individuals go that go rather slow.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Publix is a grocery store, right?
It's a good grocery store chain.
Okay. Yeah. Because it's not everywhere. They're not everywhere. So we don't have a Publix. We have a few similar ones, but I've been to Publix in the South.
I will have to stop this so we get the topic. I don't know if anybody wants to listen to this. If you listen to this point, thank you very much. If not, then
hey, they may want to move to Florida.
Podcast is sponsored by the state of Florida tourism.
Yes. But when you come to Florida, you haven't lived unless you had a pub sub. That's all I have to say. If it's a pub sub, is something you need. But I did go the other day to Publix, and this is a true story. Someone pulled up in the crosswalk to let somebody off out of the vehicle. It was a truck. It was mine. And I get irritated because they pack, Publix has a big crosswalk the entire front of the store so that people can come in and out, which is fine. It is where people walk and everything. I appreciate that. So they stopped and I'm like, okay, hurry up. Let your person out so I can go park. Because it's, again, you get into a line. So the woman gets out of the passenger seat and I thought, oh, the woman's getting out of the passenger seat. She's going to the store. No, she walked around, took out a walker, opened the driver's door. The driver got out of the vehicle, got into using his walker, and walked at a turtle's pace into the store. I do not even know how this person was driving, and they shouldn't be driving because, in my opinion, it's not safe. But this is literally what happened. The man could barely walk because of his age, I think.
Okay.
And I was floored. And then she got into the car and went and parked it.
Wow.
True story.
For their parking and get front row parking. And
she did have a handicap parking sticker because she did park in the spot. Like I said, all that stuff is fine. But the fact that the person driving could not walk on their own.
Right.
And they're driving the vehicle. And it wasn't, he couldn't walk on his own because he had, maybe a cast or, something like that. It was like an elderly walker. And he was just going.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is relevant. It's a PSA because we are going to be in Florida at Directions in Orlando. So it is important for people to be aware of what is happening in Florida.
But with that, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Bob McAdam. I am head of, I am head of strategic partnerships at Tasklet Factory, which is based in northern Denmark. I hate saying this part, but I say it anyway. I have been in the Dynamics channel, started with GP, since January of '98. So I've been in this channel, longer than Microsoft has. Because back in '98, Doug Burgum was the CEO of Great Plains Software Inc. It was a publicly traded company. So Microsoft didn't come in and buy them out till 2001. So yeah, I've been around the block a few thousand times, and I really enjoyed it. I've sat in all the chairs. I've been a reseller partner. I work for an ISV now. I've been a customer, and I worked at Dynamic Communities. I ran the back office for a little while, and then I ran G-Pug for a little while. So I've sat in all the proverbial chairs in our industry. I'm really enjoying my time here at Tasklet. We do mobile warehouse management for BC, F&O, and their on-premises predecessors. Say that 10 times fast. And
F&O, BC, and mobile on-premise predecessors. Yeah, I can't say it 10 times. I can't even say it once.
I've been practicing. And it's really been a great time. I've been here almost 2 years. The Danes are superb. The company's been in business since 2008, but they set up an office in Tampa, in Florida, about 5 years ago. And just trying to attack the North American market from here. So it's been really great. I'm not a technical resource. I was reasonably technical in my old days, but nowadays I'm more focused on partners and sales and marketing and whatnot. And it's been really a wonderful experience. The Danes are good people, and I'm enjoying working with them and learning from them and helping them take North America by storm like they have in Europe already. So
great. That's excellent.
That's awesome. You're like 3
Yeah, that
decades
sounds
in
like a
this
lot.
space. So were you the reason why G-Pug parties are like massive?
Yes,
Is that you,
yes.
Bob?
Yes,
You're
I
the
tried
reason
to
for
build
that.
those up as best I can when I ran G-Pug. I got out on stage and I'm like, for G-Pug Summit, which happened to be in Tampa that year, and I'm like, when your day is over with from going to sessions, and I know you're tired, don't go back to your hotel room and catch up on email. Um, Tell your spouse or your boss that you're going to be out late, advancing your networking opportunities, because A, that's not untruthful, and B, that's really where you meet people, talk to them, have a drink, build your network up, learn things, maybe get a lead, maybe find your way onto a job or find a partner to work with. That's where really some of the magic happens. And a lot of people like to go back to their hotel and play catch up because they've been in sessions all day. It was really a message to the end users, but the partners, they took it to heart. And then now everything after hours is an advanced networking opportunity. So
It is the best place because you can have those
Right.
free conversations. And just to go back, January 1998, you actually have me beat. And I don't know if I met too many people that have me beat. I'm the
Yeah.
tail end of 1998.
Okay. It was January
So-
20th, 1998. So yeah. And
Wow.
back then, as you know,
Wow.
Y2K was causing the Earth to spin faster or slower, depending on your perspective. And a lot of people were trying to get off of DOS systems onto Windows, and they had until January 1st, 2000 to do this, or at least
Yes,
they thought.
the world was going to end on
Yeah.
January 1st, 2000.
Software
And we did
sales were great.
so many conversions in that period.
Yep.
I was just about a year and a half in, which was good because the experience that I gained
Yeah.
from business, software, Navision. I got into Navision when it first came to the country, and it was phenomenal. So go back to Tasklet, warehouse management.
Okay.
Business Central has warehouse management in it as well.
Yes, it does.
So
Tasklet
where does-
extends to a mobile device. So
Okay.
everything that you can do in BC, you can do on the mobile device, which is faster, easier, more efficient, probably more enjoyable. And we're storing all the data really in Business Central. We're not capturing a lot of data and holding it in our own objects. We're putting it back into Business Central. The one area that we hear a lot about when it comes to warehouse management that BC does not do, at least not yet, is license plating. So we've written applications for various pieces of license plating that are on our device. But outside of that, everything you can do warehouse management wise, once of course inventory and warehouse are configured, can be done on a mobile device, quickly and easily and efficiently. So it's a cool technology.
So the Tasklet, solution for Business Central extends the Business Central manufacturing capabilities to allow you to have mobile manufacturing. So if you're in the warehouse, you have a mobile device and you can pick, pack, ship, manage orders, print, and you had also mentioned the addition of license plating as well.
All that sort of thing can be done right from the device. The company was founded in 2008. The same guy, Peter List, who founded it, is still the CEO and owner today. And he wants us to be really, really good in the warehouse, right? We're not going to do analytics. We're not going to do invoicing. We'll find partners, and there are a lot of good partners in North America and Europe that can help with these things, or Australia for that matter, and help us, do a more comprehensive job. But yeah, Peter wants to stay in the warehouse. So all things warehouse is what we are really, really good at. And the tech is good, and the support is also good. So we pride ourselves on not only bringing a great product to market, but also being able to support it around the world. We got 2 guys we just hired in APAC.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
One in Australia, one in New Zealand. And of course the Danes, there's quite a team to support in northern Denmark, and then the US team on the East Coast and West Coast as well can pick up after that.
Staying focused on the product of just that module, right? So you're not trying to do too many things at once, which is very dangerous for a lot of ISVs that's trying to do everything all at once. sometimes, because then you have more areas to focus on, more areas to support, which kind of removes you from the core functionality of what you're trying, what your application does.
Peter would much rather partner with someone else who can do something really well. Like, let me give you an example. We partnered with Yavion in 2025. They're process manufacturing gurus out of Germany, which is, just south of Denmark. And they had a scanning solution as part of their solution, and it was older, and they were either going to rewrite or invest their money elsewhere. So now when you buy Yavion for process manufacturing in Business Central, you get Tasklet scanning solution, and we're working with them very closely, both over in Europe and here, because my friend George Delp is in Charlotte, and I know all his colleagues, including Bob Baresh. And so the U.S. offices are already getting along and working together closely. And again, they're really good at what they do. We're really good at what we do. And together, fully integrated with Danish and German developers working together, we have a really nice, fully supported, fully integrated offering.
I think the specialization is important because, as you said, you can do what you do and you can do it well. And you're not spread too much where you have a lot of little pieces of it. You can focus on it. You'd mentioned the mobile devices. Which types of mobile devices does it work with?
We support a variety of mobile devices. Most of them are manufactured by Honeywell and Zebra, but that's not all of them. We show and list them all on our website at taskletfactory.com. And it has there's a bunch of things. There's ones that look like your cell phone that have a nice little scanning capability on the side of the device. There are some with keyboards on them. You'd be surprised how many people are old school. They still want a physical keyboard like the old BlackBerry days, on their scanning device. There's some that look like guns. There are some you can wear on your wrist if that's what you're doing in the warehouse. So we have a variety of different types of hardware that we support, but we do encourage prospects and customers to utilize ones that we've listed as, as support. And we can get those devices very easily from European or U.S. dealers.
So you have the flexibility of different types of devices that fit your organization. Everybody within the manufacturing, and this is some challenges I've come through with implementations. You have the standard Business Central screens and pages, and everybody sort of processes differently. What happens in the cases where somebody may want to have a unique workflow or adjustment or view to the screens within Tasklet?
Tasklet does enable easy customizations, so you can configure each device how you want. If you need a specific workflow or process or whatnot appearing on the screen, we can have that ready for you or help you with it or help your partner with it. All the security and whatnot is very easily controlled. So some users are going to have certain interface and they can only do certain things. Others will have broader responsibilities and have more of the applications within our offering available to them. So we haven't come across very many customizations or issues that we can't do. We have a great development team at Tasklet. We've got a team for FO, we got a team for BC, and we got a third team that works just on the device. And they're all smart folks. And if they can figure something out, if they need to figure something out, they certainly can.
Now, Bob, as you know, for warehousing, where you have these handheld devices, right? Warehouses are, some places have large warehouses, and there are going to be some, the typical things that we get all the time. It's like, well, we don't have Wi-Fi in that corner. We don't want to put another one out there, but we receive in that area from time to time, or maybe, some inventory out there. Does it have capability?
Yes, Tasklet out of the box has offline capabilities for all those corners of the warehouse where getting Wi-Fi consistently seems to be an impossible thing. So that's one thing that we do well. You can be in a Wi-Fi area. It'll download records that you need to go scan if you're picking certain orders, for example. And then you can go to the warehouse and not be held up by dodgy Wi-Fi, as my British colleague in sales over here calls it. You can continue on, and then when you get back to an area where the Wi-Fi is strong, the device uploads the proper records right in the database, and you didn't miss a beat. You didn't even know you were offline. So it's pretty slick.
No, it goes back one with the age. I remember when the internet was invented and we didn't have a lot of this technology. Yeah, I was thinking about some of the stories there where we had to do some creative things to get information back and forth between devices as well as systems. Even we're back when you used to have the cradles. We used to send somebody out to do some work. They'd cradle it, they'd synchronize it, and then you'd run back out to do some work. But now you had mentioned F&O or AX. I say this every time I hear about it. I'm like, what do they call it today? I forget. Yeah. So Tasklet works with F&O, works with Business Central, and Business Central, I know, has online and on-premises versions. And on-premises versions, I had to say, I say the word different flavors, not different flavors, but individuals can run many different versions because they're not in that upgrade cycle. Which versions of Business Central does Tasklet support?
We are supporting all the versions of BC. We're obviously not developing newer stuff for some of the older BCs that came out early on, like 2018, 2019 timeframe. But we will, on the nav side of the house, we will support all the way back to Dynamics NAV 2009. So we support quite a ways back. And let's face it, we all know that there's a lot of NAV in Europe, right? That's, NAV dwarfed all the other Dynamics products when it came to deployments. And most of them are in Europe. A lot of them are in Denmark. So we support a lot of the older versions because we have a lot of customers who haven't made the leap yet. So until they're ready, we'll be ready to support them going backwards.
I know many implementations even here in the United States that are using NAV 2009. Yeah. And that stuff still runs like a truck.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, they went to the SQL database the way they did it. I have to say, I don't think it compares as well to what the native database did back early on as far as performance. But if you want to get into some large scale implementations, you really need to have that SQL Server backend. But
when you say NAV 2009, are you referring to the classic NAV 2009
RTC.
or the RTC?
I believe it's both.
But the RTC in 2009 isn't too sexy. It's
RTC.
That's when they first introduced it. So
right?
That's when they had pages.
Yeah, NAV 2009.
No more forms.
Yeah, NAV 2009 is when they first introduced RTC, and I don't know, it was NAV 2009 R2, I think, or something. But you could run both, and I remember the challenges for developing for both because you had to develop differently for the two individual ones. And speaking of development, it's as we had mentioned, Business Central does a number of different things, but every now and then you run into an operation that doesn't quite fit the model that's within Business Central, and somebody will make an extension to extend Business Central. And I've come across many in the years that I've been working with Business Central within the manufacturing area of the application. What if somebody has a modification, and the modifications has additional fields for additional information they may want to track, which is not part of the core Business Central product? What can be done in the cases when using Tasklet to facilitate, or not facilitate, excuse me, to have access to that data and that information?
Okay, so every circumstance is different, right? We all know every customer loves to tell you.
You mean they're not all the same?
I know. Believe it or not, they're not all the same. Yeah, they love to tell you.
My favorite word is all you have to do is this, right? Everything. All you have to do.
But we have the capability of working with other fields, and the customization capabilities are quite extensive. So, given an opportunity to examine what the process is, what the workflow is, etc., our support team and development teams can hammer out solutions and make it work.
And going through the implementation of Tasklet or using Tasklet, does it work through partners? Does Tasklet work directly with the end users and customers? Combination of both? How does one have access to the application if they're interested in working with it within their implementation?
Okay, so we're working hard here to work with our reseller partners, right? That's where you're going to grow an ISV business the best. We do have some direct customers. We can work with customers directly or train partners on deployment. We use a product called Mobi Control, which is written by Sodi, which I believe they're out of Toronto. And that enables us to control the devices and be able to support each and every one of them because they're online. And if a customer or a partner has a problem with a device, then we can connect to it, examine it, and see what we can do to fix it. So
remote support.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
remote support. I mean, we have almost 2,000 customers in over 50 countries. So a big footprint in Europe and working on a big footprint over here and down under. So you got to be able to connect to these devices so you can take a look at them and figure out what's the matter and figure out the support issue. So SOTI Mobi Control is a great product, and it's priced into the licensing. We really like what SOTI's done with that product, and we're going to continue to use it. As far as deployment goes, most of the time we can deploy the Tasklet solution. Let's use BC as an example in 2 days, right? So presuming that the reseller partner has done the work on the inventory module and warehousing module, we can come in, spend a day on SOTI control, Mobi Control, make sure that all the devices are connected properly for support, and then also making sure that the devices have our solution and everything's connected accordingly on the back end. So a couple days to deploy. Training is relatively easy. We do have Tasklet University, which our partners in the partner program get access to. And quite honestly, you know, some software developers are not really good on documentation. We're trying not to be one of those companies. We have full-time resources in Denmark working on keeping Tasklet University up to date.
See, Bob doesn't like my commentary. He's got the script. He's going, I'm like, developers don't document? That's like unheard of.
I know. You know, Microsoft, you know, they've been guilty of that at times too, right? They roll stuff out and the documentation, not always.
They act like they don't have AI can help document.
Right. So it's like we are committed to supporting our customers and making sure they can be trained. And if they don't want to be trained because they're too busy selling, they want us to come in and do the work and go on to the next one. Fine.
That's what I like, and that's what I heard. So you work through the partner reseller channel. The partners have the opportunity. Partners are different shapes and sizes throughout the world. Yeah. It's not, again, just like we talked about, there's not like one size or there's one thing for everywhere. You have some smaller partners and you have some larger partners. And a larger partner may want to learn Tasklet and be able to implement to their customers, and others may want to, you know, do what's right for their customer and find a solution that's best for them, right? Just because you're not versed on how to implement it or necessarily doesn't mean you wouldn't want to provide it for your customer. So you have the option of training the partner, training the user, or doing the implementation as part of the implementation with the partner as well, just to make sure that's a successful implementation. I will say one thing I do like about it, and you had mentioned it. If I didn't like it, I would tell you that too. But what I liked about the remote control, because I've gone through some implementations with it, it's really nice to have that feature because somebody in the warehouse is having trouble on their device. They do not want to go into an office or someplace else and like, okay, well, you know, do this. Whereas in a factory, if you can remote control and see what they're doing and work with them while they're out there scanning, while they're out there doing something else, like you're physically able to support them in that, I call it remote necessarily because you're disconnected, but in the remote facility, being able to just work with them and walk through it with them and see what they're seeing versus in other cases where it's, oh, I have this problem. Can I, you know, okay, well, what do I do? Okay, well, try this. Can you replicate it? How do I replicate it? So that's a big advantage, and support is key in this area because you want to keep that manufacturing facility. If somebody's, again, I'll say picking, for example, you want to keep that product moving.
And you don't know, some of these warehouses are...
That's a key differentiator.
You're right.
Yeah, because a lot of times when you get frustrated, a lot of people get frustrated when something doesn't work, especially when this is new, right? Like within at least the first year, they're still trying to find their workflow. And you have someone in the warehouse that just wants to go through their process. And if it doesn't work, you know, being able to remote and see what they're doing and support them, it's easier for the adoption of the product. So I think it's important for decision makers who are looking to implement a warehouse solution like Tasklet that support's important because you want to be able to get a quick ROI on a product or an application that's going to make your operations efficient. And speaking about these devices, Bob, do you, which is another common thing that I deal with, is where do I get the hardware? What kind of hardware do I get? What are the hardware options do I have? Do I have to buy this on my own? Do I have to research what are available out there that fits your application? How does that look like from a client perspective?
It's a little bit different in Europe than it is over here because Tasklet's been in business in Europe for so long. But over here in North America, we have dealers that we work with directly. There's a couple that we work with specifically. They give us good pricing. They know what we're looking for. They know our business well. So we leverage them accordingly as needed. So we don't, they make the sale directly to the customer themselves, but we can refer them, and we work a lot with them on hardware sales. So it's like an extension of Tasklet that's independent, but fulfills that mobile device requirement.
So you guide them through, hey, these are the options. You can get it from this supplier, which makes it easy.
It does make it easy.
Yes, that makes it certainly easy.
Because we have such good relations with a couple of our hardware vendors, it's easy to bring them in. Hey, here's a new customer. They need these devices. They're looking at our website. They found 2 or 3 that suit their needs, or they prefer Zebra, or they prefer Honeywell, and then they can just run with it. The hardware dealer runs with it very easily.
Hardware is wonderful.
Nice.
So with organizations users, what would you say would be the target organization that would benefit from using Tasklet, and what types of problems would using the Tasklet ISV solution help them solve?
Okay. Well, I wouldn't say that we're necessarily industry specific, right? Lots of different types of companies in various industries have inventory on the books, so we can fit in just about anywhere. We certainly have some customers that we see a lot more of, but if you're running a distribution or manufacturing facility or even field service, if you've got trucks that are mini warehouses, if you will, on wheels, and you're loading those trucks up in the morning and you need to know where that inventory is, and then it's going out, it's got to be billed to a job later. We have some retail customers as well. Anyone who's carrying inventory can benefit from the Tasklet solution if they're leveraging Business Central or finance and supply chain management with the standard warehouse component. So, I often tell people, having gone to school for accounting, that a lot of these small companies have inventory as the largest asset on their balance sheet. So that's something that's got to be managed accordingly. Right? If your warehouse is inefficient and inventory is the largest item on your balance sheet, chances are pretty good you're going to have some write-offs at year end when your auditors are standing there getting ready to audit your financials. So having an efficient warehouse process brings the cost of holding that inventory down. And since a lot of companies invest a lot of time and effort and cash flow into inventory, it behooves them to have a system that helps them manage it, that's easy to use and simple to support and quick to train new people on.
Bob, you were an accountant?
I went to school for accounting. Yeah, I went to school at St. Bonaventure University in Western New York, just over the Pennsylvania border south of Buffalo. And then I did my MBA up at Clarkson University, which is in Potsdam. So if you know where Syracuse is, when you get to Syracuse, you got to drive 3 hours northeast to get to middle of nowhere Potsdam, which is like an hour past Watertown. Coldest days of my life, except visiting Fargo in February for Great Plains training.
Yeah,
don't
remind me about that.
Yeah, I
know. I have to make a trip to Buffalo, and I'm not looking forward to it. It's going to be in the middle of the winter.
You get a lot
I'm looking forward to it. I shouldn't say that.
Right, you are.
I'm looking forward to it for what I'm doing. I'm not looking forward to it for the weather. But to back up one,
snow is horrible. Yeah.
I'm going to just have to get a portable heater suit or something, a bubble, and just pump heat into it. You had mentioned field service, which is interesting, or loading up trucks. With the Tasklet software, does it work outside of the network range, Wi-Fi range, mobile connected, remote connected? How do people typically work with it? Like, does it work via cellular as well, or would you have to have a VPN connection back to the office, or could you use it in that capacity?
Cellular is a different deal. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are some compatible devices, but generally speaking, it's Wi-Fi that we rely on.
Okay. Yeah, so you could do the inventory to load up the vehicle in the morning,
so within the same network,
and then do an inventory afterwards when you come off of it.
Yeah.
And okay.
I really see field service as a nice industry that's doing well. You know, it seems like it's growing, and you know, whether
I just learned about field service recently.
Warehouse or a little one on wheels.
Yeah, I learned about field service recently.
Yeah.
It's another interesting space, but again, it's you know, there's certain applications that are available for that field service as well, too. So, no, Tasklet. I call it Tasklet Factory. Is it still called Tasklet Factory, or is it called Tasklet Factory? Or I don't know where I got that from.
The website. Yeah, the formal name is Tasklet Factory. Tasklet, I believe, is a Danish term. But we go to market just as Tasklet. It's easier. The factory part is not necessary, but it is the formal name of the company, and it is our website, taskletfactory.com. You're supposed to repeat things you want people to remember, you know, like taskletfactory.com many times in an interview so that people don't forget.
I didn't forget it. I see what Tasklet means in the translation. I say, what is the translation?
I believe someone once told me that the word Tasklet meant easy task in Danish. But I know there's a development reason there that Peter List, our CEO, could explain way better than me. My Danish is pretty lousy. But I could say thank you here.
Google Translate tells me that Tasklet means tasked. So I don't know. Yeah. We'll have to get the
tasked, like past tense, tasked.
Yeah. Listen,
or plural.
I don't know. I just wanted to see if there was a specific Danish word, Tasklet. But again, with some of these translation things, I think it's in the context of how
not many countries speak Danish, right? As far as I know, it's just one, maybe two.
I think there's one, Denmark. But there's a lot of people that speak Danish outside of Denmark. I've come across many. Obviously working within this space, we've come across many because this all originated from Denmark. I mean, in the Norwegian. There's a lot of Danish history.
They're cool in English. They're very good at
it. It's amazing how you can talk with somebody. I've spoken with. We can get on a whole other conversation. I've spoken with non-English speaking residents or non-English speaking country residents, and they speak English much better than a lot of like Americans, for example. I've had a conversation with you mentioned some Danish individuals the other day, and I didn't even
I agree, Brad.
I didn't even think about them speaking Danish until they said, "Oh, I have to speak English in this conversation instead of Danish." And it was honestly, I had the realization, I'm like, wow, you speak so well, so clearly and it was so fluid and fast that, like you said, they speak English. So it's, I have to go back to speaking another language. They always tell me that once you know more than one language, it's easier to learn additional languages. But I've never tried that.
I'm not sure I agree with you.
English is not my first language. I had to learn that, and it was very interesting how different structure the English language is. But it's I'm surprised too, where a lot of people, their native language is English, and they have a difficult time speaking
It's
English.
riddled with exceptions. That's why.
Yes,
English is kind of a mess. I don't purport to be a grammarian, but I can sling a few sentences together that someone can understand.
That's all you need today, because we have Grammarly, we have AI, we have all these other things. No, I think, English is comprised of many different languages, which is what it ends up being, is because you had individuals immigrate from different countries and you come up with different terms and different words. I mean, you had the original Old English settlers, but again, as other residents immigrated from other countries, I think we started to get the blend of stuff to come up with words and new words and such. So, but it's good that we can all communicate well, and we're covering all over the bases today with this.
Speaking of English or communication, I know, Bob, I've followed you for many years, and I know you have a podcast as well, right? Do you still do that? I think you still do that.
Yes, I do. Not as much as we used to, but in May of 2014, my friend Todd McDaniel, who was a longtime GP guy who has since gotten out of the business and gotten into something else, calls me up and says, let's do a podcast, because he and I would talk shop. Hey, did you hear about this person joining this company? Or did you hear about this company being acquired by that company? And we would talk shop, mainly in his office, quite a bit when we got together. So he's like, let's do a podcast. I listen to podcasts, and it's a new trend, and let's go do this. And I'm thinking to myself, who the hell wants to listen to what you and I talk about in the Microsoft space? So he buys all this equipment, and Dynamics Podcast was born. So we talked about Microsoft stuff. And then later that year, like summertime 2014, Todd went to Sage Summit in Las Vegas because it was $99, and he was looking for another ecosystem to integrate to, and Sage 100 was on his short list. And he came back from that show, and we did a podcast comparing Convergence, which at the time was a big deal, and Sage Summit. And we got a blip in our listenership, mainly from the Sage people, right? They wanted to hear the comparison. So, because the Sage 100 community is really tight. The Sage in general, I'd say, is pretty tight. So then later that year, we changed the name to Enterprise Software Podcast, which you'll find at enterprisesoftwarepodcast.com. And we brought Darcy Borio on because Darcy knew the Sage space really well, worked at Avalara at the time. She was Todd's Avalara rep. Now she works for herself. And the three of us kind of like restarted a podcast that Todd and I had started the previous May. So we made it to 10 years in the summer of 24, which was a long haul. It was just Darcy and me. And then we decided we would kind of sunset that a little bit and start something new, a newsletter that aggregates activities in all the ecosystems, not just Microsoft and Sage, but NetSuite, Acumatica, Epicor, Infor, Salesforce, etc. And then we started Enterprise Software Express, which you'll find at enterprisesoftwareexpress.com, as a news aggregator that kind of supplements the newsletter. So a couple times a month, you get a free newsletter in your inbox, so you know what's going on in your space. You don't have to read everything, but we're trying to cover as many ecosystems as we can. And then you can go to Enterprise Software Express and see all the news that's up there and some other write-ups that we do about events. And then our events calendar, which tries diligently to have all the events in a given year in one place. So whether you're Acumatica person or Microsoft or what have you, it's all listed in one place. So that's been the last 12 years almost, going from why would we do this crazy podcast thing to a whole newsletter aggregation deal. But it's been tons of fun. And I will tell you guys, as I'm sure you will agree, doing this podcast, you meet a lot of people, you learn a lot of things. I learned a lot about my competitors, about who are Microsoft's strongest competitors, right? NetSuite, Sage, Acumatica, Epicor. I learned by meeting people from those channels who I was up against and how good they were. You know, there are a lot of good ERP systems. We spend all our time as Microsoft nerds talking about Microsoft technologies, which are great and really superbly stacked. But the competition out there is really strong, and no one should take any of them for granted. They're all pretty good.
I think you're correct. I think it's important to know your competition and know what your competition, again, anybody that's doing in sales, you want to know what your competition has, what your competition's doing, what they're up to, and also the strengths and weaknesses. I mean, there's everything with it, right? Individuals have choices. There's different types of vehicles you can purchase. You can purchase the different makes, different models, the different makes within, or the different models with the different makes as well. So it's important to be versed on it. So it's good that you have that available for them as well. And to go back to the podcast, yes, you do meet a lot of great people. And as I say, I think I talk with other individuals. I do this, personally. Kris and I talk about this. He does it for similar reasons, which he can comment on. I do it just to meet individuals in the community, to learn about things, right? Learn about people, learn the stories behind them, and also learn about different products, different types of implementation. So I would have these, I talk on this as if I would have the conversation if we were sitting at the bar at an event doing some advanced networking, as if nobody was listening, as I'd say. I speak as if no one were listening, because I'd still have the conversation with you.
Yeah, it's fun. Our best podcast as far as listenership was the CEO of Epicor. He agreed to come on, Steve Murphy, and he comes on.
Wow.
And, we're all prepared. The three of us are going to interview the CEO of Epicor, which is like a $2 billion software producer. And he comes on, and he doesn't have his, it's an audio podcast. We don't do video like you guys. We started too early and didn't feel like changing. He comes on, but I can't see his face, and he's doing it. He asked for a quiet room and a good microphone. Well, it turns out he was having some construction done at his house. So he told his wife, I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to go do this podcast. So he drove off and sat in his car and interviewed with the three of us on Enterprise Software Podcast. And then at the very end, we turned off the mics. He comes on and he says, hi, sorry, I was so, I didn't have my camera on, but I've been driving. I had to get out of my house. It's too noisy there. So I just thought I would talk to you while I drive around town. This is the CEO of Epicor, and he was the nicest guy, and he was never too good to be on our show or anything like that. And I ended up corresponding with him a couple more times later on to try and see if I could maybe get into Epicor with a previous employer. So very, very nice story. All
See, that's
superb.
I like those stories. I like those stories.
That's the thing that Brad and I always talk about, because it's just the human aspect of it. Like, we're all, we all talk about technology. We're all nerding out. But at the end of the day, we're human beings that enjoy other things. So for him to go, you have that picture in your head of the CEO, right? Like, supposed to get, have a whole setup and everything. It's like, I just need to drive somewhere, just like what we would do, right? I need to go drive and do a podcast. Like Brad and I did a podcast in the car, and I was in Atlanta, and I brought my mic with me, and we did a podcast.
Yeah. He was concerned about having it be too noisy at his house, so he just grabs his phone and his car keys and takes off. For us, I thought that was great.
That's great. It's some of these stories are great. Again, it's the human aspect of it. Well, Mr. Bob, sir, it was great seeing you last week. Enjoyed the conversation, and also enjoyed speaking with you today. Really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us, talk with us a little bit about the human aspect of Tasklet, human aspect of this whole implementation, and Tasklet Factory.
I want to throw one more thing in for you guys, because you're BC guys. And I said this on my podcast, Enterprise Software Podcast, and I also said this to Rick McCutcheon on his partner talks. Last year, the big story was not Business Central's customer account. It was the timeline. So let me explain. As I said earlier, I started at Tasklet in April of 24. And then 4 months later, let's say it was July, 3-4 months later, that's when Microsoft announced 40,000 Business Central customers. And I thought, gee, that's pretty good. They're catching up to NetSuite, and NetSuite is a formidable competitor. And if you take them, lightly, they're going to eat your lunch in a heartbeat, because they're a big organization. They've been fully Oracleized, and they're competitive. Fast forward to Directions North America in Vegas in 25. That's April. Now they announced 45,000 customers, right? Now they've leapfrogged NetSuite, who was the big dog in the SMB space for a long time. Then fast forward to Poznan, Poland at Directions of Me in November, and they're up to 50,000 customers. So that's a great number, and it's growing rapidly, but it's not really just the number, it's the timeline. In about the course of 18 months, roughly, Microsoft's gone from being behind NetSuite to catching up to leapfrogging to now pulling away. And it's really impressive how fast they're growing this. And they have a lot of on-prem customers on SL, GP, and NAV who will consider BC. I mean, will they be at 60,000 customers by the end of this year? Will they be at 75 by the end of 27? Will they be at 100K by 2030? I don't know. But to me,
Wow.
NetSuite was the big dog in the SMB space for quite some time. It's been around since what, the late 90s, I think. But Microsoft's really pushing hard. I think Microsoft is pleasantly surprised with the Business Central momentum in the community, in the customer account, with the partners, all of it. And I think that, to me, was the big story in 25, how Business Central has caught up and is now past NetSuite. That, to me, was
be
big
interesting
news,
to
and
see
it's
in April, because now you put the metrics down from April of 24 through the end of November, through the end of 2025 in November in Poland.
Yeah.
In April, we have Directions North America, which is the next conference that I think we'll all be at, and we'll be able to see, hopefully
Right
see
down
the
the road here in
statistics up there.
Orlando.
Yes, another drive up, which will be nice. Anytime you don't have to get on a plane, it's good. I appreciate it.
And then Paris for November, right?
Yes, that's it. Over to. So it'll be interesting to see the number that they announce in April. Hopefully they keep up with that tradition. I mean, they've been doing great for the past several conferences, announcing the number of customers, because it is a big deal. As you had mentioned, the momentum of the growth of the application, which is pretty phenomenal.
It creates confidence too with those numbers. If
it does.
You know what I mean?
I'm passionate about the product. I always have been since I first started using it.
And you guys are just two examples of the people that are passionate about BC. You've got the old NAV people, and you've got the GP people that have moved over to BC, and you've got this new combined momentum amongst all the old nerds in our space that have been doing this kind of thing for a long time. And that's building momentum. You see it at the shows. You see it in the customer account. You see it with the partners that are making BC part of their offering. Business Central has really good momentum. And right now they're on a tear streak at Microsoft with BC, and I don't see how it's going to come to an end anytime soon. The stack around BC is really comprehensive. We hear about it all the time. It is fueling the rise, no question, of BC and its momentum. It's impressive.
Oh, I agree. That whole ecosystem is amazing, and how it all works well together.
Yeah.
We could have a whole conversation about that. That doesn't sound too. I never having to retire doesn't sound too promising. I do hope there's a point. I'm thankful that I work in this, and we do have the opportunity to work a little bit longer than maybe some other careers. Not because of the technology, just because of what we have to do. We're not out doing some physical work. We're doing a lot of mental work, but the wear and tear on the body is a little bit.
Never the same day twice.
Thank you. I wake up every day and I learn something new. I've been doing this for as long as I have, and I learn something new every day. And I learn something new either about the product, because that things are being added to it. I learn something new about how maybe implement it differently, because an organization may have a challenge that we have to solve, right, for that challenge, and we come up with creative ways. And I don't mean creative ways in a haphazard way, creative ways to give them what they need to satisfy or to solve their problem. So every day I learn something about business or technology, and I can say I wake up most of the time saying I'm excited to do what I do today, which not many can say.
Not a job, it's definitely a career.
Yes, and you have to make it
100% a career.
You have to make it a life. I almost say it's a life.
And we have great people in the community too. It's fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of great people. Well, Bob, thanks again. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us and sharing your valuable insights. I could talk with you for hours and days, and we'll have to have you back on. We can talk about some non-Tasklet talk. Maybe we can talk about
All right, gents, thanks very much. I appreciate the invite, and I will see you on the road this year in 2026.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Have a good day. Ciao, ciao.
That sounds good.
Right. Take care.
Bye. Thank you, Kris, for your time for another episode of In the Dynamics Corner Chair. And thank you to our guests for participating.
Thank you, Brad, for your time. It is a wonderful episode of Dynamics Corner Chair. I would also like to thank our guests for joining us. Thank you for all of our listeners tuning in as well. You can find Brad at developerlife.com. That is DVLPRLIFE.com. And you can interact with them via Twitter, DVLPRLIFE. You can also find me at matalino.io, matalino.io. And my Twitter handle is matalino16. And you can see those links down below in the show notes. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, and take care.